Now wait a damn minute, man. Is Tyrese Maxey and VJ Edgecombe one of the best backcourts in the NBA, if not the best? Do the 76ers need to consider moving on from Joel Embiid and Paul George? Hell, do you even need Joel Embiid and Paul George, or have you found your new stars and cornerstones of your organization in these two young guards? What do you do with Joel Embiid and Paul George? Do you trade them? Do you keep playing Joel Embiid on limited minutes? Paul George, will you ever be healthy? How do you fit when you come back? Jerry McCain, you still ain't got him back yet. So 76ers front office have so many problems, some of them good, because I don't think anybody planned on VJ Edgecombe being this good, this fast, this early, and really making a rumbling for Rookie of the Year and taking that right out of Cooper Flagg's hand. I get it. It's early, right? 3-0, 4-0. I get it. But they are 4-0. They haven't won a couple games. All their games haven't been, the teams they played so far haven't been, top tier, teams or contenders per se. But that Celtics win for the opener was impressive, right? That Magic team, a lot of people are super high on, that was a good win for them, right? They beat the Hornets and they beat the Wizards. The Wizards are shabby, right? They have some young talent that's been showing up. So again, it's just so many questions running through my head when it comes to this 76ers organization, y'all, because I'm wondering, do you have the best backcourt? And what do you do with your other so-called stars if, in fact, you're going to go all in and buy stock in Tyrese Maxey and VJ Edgecombe as your guys of the future? What do you do? What's up, y'all, man? This is Will Z. Titwell, Skybox Conversations. I'm glad y'all tuned into this episode because those are the type of juicy things I want to talk about today with y'all and really get us going. You see what I'm saying? Because when you talk about backcourts right now, currently as is, what are some of the best backcourts? You got Luka and AR, right? Like a plug. You got backcourts. Some of the best backcourts. Damn. What are some of the best backcourts? Let me think through the teams. You got the Hawks. You got the Celtics. You got the Magic. I do like Desmond Bane, but who are they considering their point guard to be right now? Who? Yeah, you would have to say as that's how, and then obviously you got injuries playing a part in this too, right? Because I know there are certain people that would be in that conversation in some way, but at the same time, when you come about the best two people in your backcourt, I think they may be the best backcourt in the NBA, if not top three, for sure. Like, Tyrese Maxey is averaging 34 points a game, 7.5 assists, shooting almost 46% from the field, and has 4 rebounds. VJ Edgecombe, your rookie, who only played 4 games in the NBA, is averaging almost 25 points a game, 6.5 rebounds, 5.5 assists, and almost 47% from the field. That's 70 points between them. And 76ers as a team are only averaging 126 only, right? Like, they're averaging 126 points, and these two dudes have well over half of your points. That's impressive. One of them being an undersized guard and the other one being a rookie, a real rookie. Still got Similac on his breath. Now, again, the question also becomes, is what they're doing sustainable? What happens when the struggles come? What happens when Tyrese Maxey isn't hitting 40 and 38 and all of that, right? What happens when VJ Edgecombe hits that rookie barrier, right? Where things aren't so smooth. People start preparing for him differently. Defenses start scheming differently for you, and now you're having to pick the game apart in other ways. Can he step up to that? I'm not saying he can't. I'm not saying he can. Those are also some of the questions you have to think about when you talk about the full scope of the 76ers and the full landscape. And again, do you keep letting Joel Embiid play in these spurts? Do you go ahead and shut them all down, let them come all the way back? Do you keep kind of doing this, hoping that maybe by the playoffs, Joel Embiid will be at least 85, 90% of himself. And if you put that with Maxey being his best self and Edgecombe being his best self, you might have something. And if Paul George can stay relatively healthy, and come back and be the guy that he has been, right? Even close to that, that's a very, very good Eastern Conference team that I think could really make some damage. But again, there's just so many questions that need to be answered. It's like, what's stopping Daryl Morey and them from just saying, man, we might need to just go ahead and move forward and figure out how to, offload a guy like Joel Embiid and Paul George somewhere else, or, how to, after this season, figure out how we can move on. I wouldn't be surprised, if I'm being honest. Because right now what they're showing you early in this season, again, very small sample size, we're not going to get carried away, but they're showing you right now that they can win without him. But is that sustainable? I don't know. But right now they're showing you that they can. Right now they're showing you that they're very dynamic. But let's see what they look like in 30 games, all right? And we can kind of come back and reevaluate. But in the back of my head, you can't tell me that Daryl Morey isn't thinking, man, it might be time to move on. And then they also think about, like, how would Joel Embiid feel about that? Because he probably thinking, shit, part of the big reason that I'm beat up and not myself is because I gave so much and put so much on the line for this organization to keep them even relevant and competent and keep the lights on in this motherfucker, right? Giving them something to cheer about, willing our way even to the playoffs. So I know he will probably feel a way about that, obviously, right? Giving so much to a organization pretty much your whole career. But big fella, if you can't move, maybe it's that time. Your body is just literally giving up on you almost. And that sucks, man, because basketball is better when Joel Embiid is on the court. But it's also like him thinking about his life after basketball and also just the business of it and just saying, we might got to move on. And then even with Paul George, what did you bring Paul George in for? You brought him for to score the ball, of course, to be a two-way defender, and a two-way guy like he is and has been known as for years. You brought him in to be a playoff riser. You brought him in to be a number 2 or number 3 option next to Maxey and Embiid. But if Edgecombe is already starting to elevate into that rim, then what do you do with PG when they pretty much play the same position? And Edgecombe is showing he can do a lot of those same things. At least right now he is, right? He's knocking down shots. He's crazy athletic, getting to the rim at ease. So if anything, this is really what's going to have to happen. Because if you wanted to it to maintain a big three, it's really saying, do we want Embiid or George? Damn, I don't know who I would take because they both injury riddled. Embiid, obviously, I would get ready to put Paul George first, but it's like, damn, will Embiid ever be right again? For me to really have confidence in that. Because that's really what the conversation is going to come down to. What am I going to do with one of these guys? Or if not, I'm going to move on from both of these guys. Because I even like my guy that was in there starting with Embiid while Embiid was on the outer circle in the beginning of the first game with the Celtics, Barlow. I love that guy, man. I like what he was bringing to the table. I hate that he got injured, right? But then you also got a very serviceable guy in Drummond that I think obviously isn't Embiid by any stretch of the imagination, but he rebounds the hell out of the ball. He's had a team. He's been a star on a team very early in his career when he's with those Detroit teams. I think he was kind of a center stone of that team, even though they stunk, right? So I think he's serviceable. I think he can get some things done for you. But again, you're still gonna put a lot on a young rookie and an undersized guard that when the playoffs come can scheme for you completely different, right? If you're able to make it to the playoffs, or again when things start tightening up, can scheme for you totally different. Right now, we're putting bigger guys on the Tyrese Maxey's. Now we're showing the rookie stuff he's never seen before when it comes to the defenses and the coverages. Frustrating the young guy. Can he keep a cool head? Like, it's just so many variables that's involved in that. But again, it kind of feels like what the 76ers are doing is doing it by committee, right? The other night you had Oubre giving you 25 on top of the great game Maxey had, and Edgecombe was solid. Then you got Quinn Grimes giving you big shots and having 20+ point games. He hit a game winner the other night, and I tweeted. I said he said you should have paid me my 20 million. He said I'm worth 20 million, right? And that's so funny to me, man, because he had that whole debacle with getting paid, and then he's hitting big shots and he's stepping up off the bench and really giving the 76ers a spark. And it just feels like that's what they're doing. Nick Nurse and that team, they're doing it by committee. We follow these two young guys, and other guys are just filling in, right? What normally would be Embiid's 30. Like I said, you're getting 25 from Oubre. You're getting 15 from Quinn Grimes. You're getting 25 from Quinn Grimes. You're getting a big shot from Quinn Grimes. You're getting Maxey doing his thing. VJ Edgecombe doing his thing. Drummond rebounding the hell out the ball. I think they're doing it by committee, right? And in the East, I think they can get you by. I don't know how to feel about this 76ers team, to be honest with you, because going into the season, I don't think anybody had expectations because there were so many unknowns, which there still are, but there were even more because we didn't know what VJ Edgecombe could even do, what he would do. We didn't know. We still don't know technically the real update on Embiid, right? Because you seeing him, but we also seeing that he's not himself, right? We knew Maxey would be Maxey, but we also know he has his struggles being a smaller guy at times, right? He can score with the best of them. That's obvious, right? He averaging damn near 40 right now in these first 4 games. But at the same time, again, when you put a bigger defender on him, and they can load up on him and they can do these different things on him, and his shot is not falling, then what? But yeah, man, that really sums up how I feel right now about these 76ers and the questions that are just running through my head as a sports fan, as a basketball lover, as somebody that covers this sport is, are Maxey and Edgecombe the best backcourt in the league? What do you do with Embiid and Paul George? Do you bring both of them back or neither of them back? If so, how do you do it? Where do they go? Does Embiid retire? Does he go to another team and prove himself? What happens there? Is what Edgecombe and Maxey are doing sustainable? And what the Sixers are doing, is that sustainable? And can they keep winning? What if in a perfect world, all of these cats come back and they're all playing together? What does that look like? Do you go Maxey, Edgecombe, Paul George, Embiid, and Oubre? If you really want to be real, that's actually a fire-ass starting lineup. Because Paul George 6'10". Edgecombe can play the 2. PG can play the 3, or Oubre can play the 3, vice versa. PG at the 4, whatever, either way. And you got Embiid. And then you got Barlow if he's able to come back soon. And then you got Quinn Grimes coming off that bench. You got Jerry McCain you still got to think about that's going to be back soon. I'm missing a couple cats. So it's like there's something there. But can we all get on the same page and get all healthy and show what's there? I mean, that's obviously the big question. It has always been a big question for a lot of cats in Philly, but especially Joel Embiid and Paul George now. Because since PG been there, he ain't showed us a motherfucking thing. And it would be nice to see PG of old. Even when he was doing it at the Clippers, bringing that would bring so much value. But again, does now that take the ball out of VJ hand? Does that take the ball out of Maxey hand? But it also would be nice for Maxey not to have to go score 40. Because I don't think that's sustainable either. I don't think that's sustainable. I don't think you can rely on that every night. And again, some people would even say they haven't played anybody. You played the Celtics, you played the Hornets, you played the Magic, you played the Wizards, and you got the Celtics coming up again this Friday on the 31st on Halloween, which actually is the first game of the Cup, or one of the first games of the Cup. So I'll be interested to see that, even though the Celtics are sad as fuck, for real. The Celtics really are sad. That interior is terrible. Everybody thought Derek White was finna be an all-star this year. I think he gonna have some good moments, but it's different when you the number one guy and everybody's scheming and planning for you. That's what I'm also saying about a guy like Tyrese Maxey. Yeah, he hooping right now, and he hooping right now. Embiid is still kind of out there, so you're still having to prepare for Embiid. But what happens when Maxey does become the number one guy solely? Then what? Because again, with a guy like Derek White, he was great as the 4th option. when you got fucking Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, and then you take your pick. You had Drew, you had Porzingis, you had fucking Al Horford hitting threes. You had all these things going on. It was hard to zero in on just Derek White. Now Derek White, you number 1 or 2 on the scouting list every night. Because if we don't let you do shit, y'all gonna struggle. Jaylen Brown, it's a given. He can get 40. But outside of him, nobody else, we cutting y'all water off. And somebody else made a great point. Yeah, Derek White is a great two-way player, but what you're doing defensively doesn't hold as much weight if you can't do the same things you were doing offensively when you were doing those things defensively. So that steal or that block or that whatever, yeah, it was great, but it doesn't hold as much weight when you ain't hitting no threes now. Or you getting stripped, or you got turnovers and all those things. It kind of just cancel each other out. You know what I mean? And so, I don't know, man. I think the Sixers still not playing nobody technically when they play the Celtics Friday, because they may win that game again. Just because the Celtics are sad. Celtics is not that good this year. We all know why. Jason Tatum is down, right? They pretty much sold off their team because it was going to be crazy expensive. Understandably so. But, yeah. And those rumors of them getting AJ Dibonista, that is crazy. If that happens, that is nuts. No way that happens. But, yeah, man, I would love to hear some feedback on what y'all think about that question. Should the 76ers think about trading Embiid and Paul George? I would love to know. Comment below. Like and subscribe to the video. Tell a friend to tell a friend about it. And please give me some feedback on this question, man, because I really want to hear from y'all. All right? I love y'all. Be sure to like and subscribe. I'll see y'all in the next video. This is Skybox Conversations. It's your boy Z, and I'm signing off. Here we go.